So this woman says she's been contemplating a question that a child asked her father, and that was Bingo the farmer or the dog? And I understand her question. Um, and I kind of understand where she's coming from because at first, like normal, and the normal person or a person with, I would say honestly, a person with a high IQ that think they know everything, they would say yeah. They would say, what kind of question is that? That's a stupid question. But if you really think about it, these are the type of questions that get to people's minds all the time, kind of throw them off because it's like a trick question. The fact that the child asked their father, was Bingo the farmer or the dog, you would think like, was this child asking the father a trick question to kind of trick his mind? And that's what these questions do. They do trick your mind because you think there was a farmer who had a dog and Bingo was his name. So you think like, okay, so they could be saying the farmer's name was Bingo and this farmer just had a dog. So if there was a farmer had a dog and Bingo was his name, well, they could have been talking about the farmer the whole time. Bingo, 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 and Bingo was his name. They could have been talking about the dog the whole time. But as kids, when we was younger, we just thought it was a dog. So it kind of just makes you think about this child. Like, hold up, why would the child ask that question? If every child, as we were childs, the first thought we had was Bingo was the dog. Why did this child actually think that this dog, why would the, why would this child ask that question? That's the question that I would have. You know, this child is thinking outside the box, thinking a little bit too smart or a little bit too intelligent. What y'all think?
That rubber sausage. Main thing I went to the store for him for.
Like this child actually got you to the point where you're questioning your own knowledge. You're looking up and asking Google what a child has asked you. It's like belittling yourself or dumbing yourself down to a child's level. And I'm not saying the child is dumb. I'm saying the child is in a child's place. And sometimes you just gotta allow that child to stay in the child's place and don't encourage the thought. You encouraging the thought is kind of just like, you know, putting you in a position to where you're questioning yourself because we were built off of this foundation of the storyteller. So now it's like, what would I, how would I answer this question? For me, you know what I would do? I would actually look it up. I would look up, well, I wouldn't look it up on Google, but I would read the book myself, and that's the thing about telling stories and stuff. A lot of people tell their stories, but a lot of other people tell the stories of those people. Tell those other people's stories with pictures and images, and you just want the truth. You want to know what's the truth behind the story, but that's where images can kind of be deceiving, with picture books and stuff. You know, Coming from that perspective of the author, you think this could be a song of the farmer himself having a dog and he naming off the farmer's name. What Google is going to tell you is what Google is meant to tell you. You know, Google doesn't have that experience of that person. That Google only has what's been programmed for Google to say. The truth, the only truth you like, if you really had that question, it was really on your heart. Maybe it's meant for you to dive deeper into the understanding of what that song actually means, rather than asking Google. I feel like it was on her heart for a specific reason, not because, oh, I'm really curious, like, and then getting a simple answer. Sometimes God put stuff on your heart for a lesson, so that you can deep dive into that question and gain understanding, so that you can teach and preach what you learned, or what's coming from you. What's your understanding of that song? Why did you think? Why? The question is, why did you think that Bingo was the farmer instead of the dog? That's what I feel like She should have explained a little bit more. She should have explained herself. Why did you think Bingo was the farmer instead of the dog? Why did this question weigh so heavy on your heart to the point where you couldn't move on from this thought until you had an answer? Those are the questions you should be asking yourself when someone comes to you and question with a question like this. If it don't really ring a bell, they ask that question, you just shake it off, you brush it off like, oh, well, you know, the farmer is, Bingo is the dog. That's where a child is kind of, asking you because the child is looking up to you. The child is looking up to you for an answer, and you're supposed to give a straightforward, simple answer. You're not supposed to think too much about it, especially if you have a strong foundation, to where you can't be shaken you can't be shaken by the imagination of a child. That is proving how strong you are. And this could have been a test for God. God works through lives, God works through children, God works through people. God could be like, you know, ask your father this question, and I'm going to see where his head truly is. Because to be a leader and to be a parent and to be a protector, I need for him to be strong in order for me to know you will be protected. How can I know this man can protect you if he's in a child like mine? So God got to know this man's mind from this child, and that determined what type of person he was for God's sake. Sometimes you just got to get creative, and sometimes you got to think outside the box of the situation, of the question. Think outside the box of, you know, question yourself. Maybe this moment was a time for him to question himself. The fact that you couldn't answer that question, that means you have to question yourself. Why? Could not give this child a straightforward answer. You know, Why wasn't it simple for me to just say it was the dog? Maybe because you never believed in the author of the song. Maybe you didn't believe in the song itself. Maybe, you didn't believe that this song was true. Maybe this song, maybe this child is a reflection of you, of a question you had for so long in your life, and you're remembering why I could never actually get past this song. And the fact that I'm singing it to my child and they asked me this question is because this song is basically because I've been having this question the whole time, and that's why I'm singing a song to my child, because I never got over the song itself. So it could be so many reasons why, but Google can never be that answer that you need for clarity. Clarity is God. You know, when something is on your heart or something is on your mind like that, you go to God with it. Google is not your clarity, especially because I feel like it was much deeper than what it seems. It's not obvious. It's not always what's obvious isn't always so obvious, you know. So that's just my perspective about this video. And yeah, just some food for thought. And y'all have a good day. Thank God it's Friday, and y'all take it easy, mentally. And I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for listening. Bye. Oh, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Be notified and share at your own free will to show you care.